Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping back a bit. We're looking past the immediate noise, the day-to-day headlines, and we're digging into the really long game. The kind of decisions and maybe habits that shape things not just next month, but years, even decades down the line.
Yeah.
We want to know what makes a life feel, well, truly rich and connected.
Yeah, and we've pulled together some really fascinating sources for this. We've got Stoicism, some Eastern philosophy, even reflections on modern parenting, and interestingly, Leo Tolstoy. Quite a mix.
It really is. And the mission here, I think, is to try and pull out this core idea that keeps showing up. That lasting success, real wisdom. It's basically built on what you do today, these small, disciplined choices.
Exactly. It's about finding that recipe, maybe, for wisdom that actually sticks. And just as important, understanding what trips us up, what
Right.
makes us, stop halfway.
We're looking for the shortcut, but maybe not that shortcut that avoids the work.
No, definitely not that. It's more about understanding how the work pays off, how that slow, patient cultivation, well, it just beats the big, flashy, quick fix almost every time. And this idea, it's ancient, really.
It is. Let's start there with that foundational proverb. It sets the stage so perfectly. From Lao Tzu, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for life.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, right? But there's a lot packed in there analytically. It's not just about charity versus self-sufficiency.
Okay.
It really defines this core difference we're tracking. The immediate fix the fish, solving hunger now, versus the long-term capability building, the skill. That's the fishing lesson.
Immediate gratification versus compound growth.
Precisely. That's the heart of it. One gives you temporary relief. The other gives you, well, enduring wisdom, actual capability.
And our culture is just so obsessed with the fish, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The quick hack, the single trick, the immediate result. But all these sources, they keep pointing back to the fishing lesson. That seems to be the only way to build something solid, whether it's a skill, a relationship, or even your own character.
It really demands a shift in perspective, doesn't it? You have to accept that the really profound results, they just take time. They take patience.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is how this idea, this kind of mathematical truth of growth through steady effort, it pops up everywhere. Different cultures, no contact, but the same insight. Like the Spanish proverb, poco a poco, un poco se hace mucho.
Little by little, a little becomes a lot. I love that.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It feels less intimidating. Like you don't need a massive breakthrough today. Just do a little bit. Un poco.
Right. And that little bit, done consistently, becomes the lot. Un mucho. It's inevitable. Ralph Mahn, he boiled it down even further for us. Just 5 words. Little and often over the long haul.
Little and often over the long haul. That's it.
It captures that quiet discipline, Almost boring, maybe? But it works. It takes the pressure off needing some heroic, grand gesture.
Yeah, replaces it with just we show up, do the small thing consistently.
Exactly. Deliberate, small, repeated effort.
So if the long haul is just made up of these little and often moments, then, well, today becomes incredibly important.
Absolutely critical.
Which brings us to Mike Murdoch's point. He said, the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. That hits hard.
It really does.
If you want to see your future, don't look at your vision board. Look at your calendar for, this afternoon.
Oof. Yeah, that's a bit of a reality check. And that's why these sources keep emphasizing that today is our most precious possession, our only sure possession.
Right. You can't change yesterday. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
But you have total control, well, mostly over the seeds you plant, or maybe forget to plant right now in these 24 hours.
So it grounds all this philosophy in immediate practical action.
Completely. It means if you're not doing the work today, you're actually actively choosing that future you claim you don't want, which is a sobering thought.
It really is. Okay, so that focus on today, on agency, makes this doable. If that daily routine is the secret sauce, what's the goal? What does success look like in this long game view? The sources use this image, the crowded table. That really stuck with me.
It's about setting a benchmark for success that goes beyond, just the basics, like kids are healthy, finances are okay. It's deeper.
Okay.
We start with the Stoic, Musonius Rufus. He paints this picture, calls it a great spectacle when you see parents with their grown children all gathered around them willingly.
A spectacle, like something rare and beautiful to witness.
Yeah. But the modern take, drawing from Ryan Holiday and the Highwaymen, gets even more specific. It's not just raising functional adults.
Right.
It's raising adults who want to be with you and who you want to be with. decades later. That's the key.
That want to gather part,
Yeah.
that's the real measure, isn't it?
That's the result. That's the metric you can actually point to. It shows years and years of consistent, loving, honest interaction. It's the proof of deep relational success.
So you imagine like Thanksgiving years from now, or birthdays, or everyone chipping in for that beach house rental.
Exactly. And they choose to be there. They have other options, busy lives, their own families, but they make the effort to come back to that table.
This isn't just about kids, right? This metaphor works for teams, friendships, communities.
Absolutely. Any long-term relationship or endeavor where connection matters, a thriving team, a close circle of friends, maybe even a creative project that people still care about generations later. The crowded table is that symbol of lasting fulfillment and chosen connection.
Okay, so that's the vision. Beautiful. But then comes the slightly uncomfortable part, the law of planting.
Ah, yes, the unavoidable truth. That future crowded table, it's being set or maybe neglected right now, today.
The atmosphere of that future gathering is being created in today's interactions.
Precisely. The sources are blunt. If you want a garden, you're going to have to sow the seed now.
It confronts that idea that you can ignore relationships for years and then just, I don't know, swoop in with a big gesture or a lot of money and fix everything.
Yeah, that doesn't work. You can't cram for connection. You can't make up for years of neglect with one grand weekend. The advice is small, consistent. Plant a little happiness. Give a little love now, every day.
It's those daily choices being present, prioritizing the small interaction, acting with integrity.
That's what creates the pull. That's what makes people want to come back years later. It's like emotional compound interest.
And if you miss the early deposits,
It becomes almost impossible to catch up. The gap gets too big.
it makes me think about managing versus cultivating. Managing feels transactional. Cultivating feels patient, daily, sometimes thankless in the moment.
That's a great distinction. And the sources are clear. No planting today, no harvest later, period. Which leads us right into the next big question. Why don't we plant consistently? What gets in the way?
Right. The internal barriers.
Exactly. We shift now to the enemy within, the thing that stops the poco a poco. And surprisingly, maybe, the sources point overwhelmingly to one thing: pride, or maybe more accurately, self-satisfaction.
It's interesting. It's self-satisfaction, feeling good enough, rather than, say, laziness or fear being the main culprit.
Well, think about it. Once you're satisfied, what happens?
You stop trying. You stop learning.
Exactly, you stop learning. Leo Tolstoy was incredibly sharp on this. He said, self-admiration is the beginning of pride. Pride is dissipated self-admiration.
Okay, break that down. Self-admiration leads to pride.
Right. You start thinking, hey, I'm pretty good at this, or I've got this figured out. That's the self-admiration. Then pride is when that feeling sort of spreads out, takes over, becomes your default state. And the danger is it's a systemic failure. It stops you from seeing reality, the reality that growth is basically infinite.
So the mechanism is, I admire myself, I feel satisfied, therefore, I don't need to learn anymore.
You got it. You become a closed system. Self-admiration acts like a filter. It blocks new information, especially if it's critical or contradicts what you think you know.
Ouch.
You've mentally arrived. You're done. And that just puts a hard ceiling on everything: your skills, your relationships, the depth of that table you're trying to set.
This connects to Pascal, right? Blaise Pascal's point about selfishness.
Yes, his observation is so insightful. He said people who don't hate their own selfishness, their habit of putting themselves above everything else, are essentially blind because it contradicts the truth.
And by selfishness, he didn't just mean hogging resources, right?
No, it's deeper. It's egocentricity, that fundamental human tendency to see the world with yourself at the absolute center. Your feelings, your perspective, your needs are just bigger, more important than objective reality or anyone else's needs.
And that's just not true.
Objectively.
It's fundamentally dishonest, as
Yeah.
Pascal says. It contradicts the truth of our actual place in the world. And when you think you're the center, you start inflating your own importance. Tolstoy's metaphor comes back here. The prideful person filling themselves with lighter and less dense stuff, mostly air.
Isn't that a great image? Pride makes us puff ourselves up with, perceived virtues, things we might do, how good we think we are. It feels substantial, but it's just air.
And it stops you doing the real work, the dense, grounded, hard work of actually getting better, of planting seeds.
You can't do groundwork while you're floating on a cloud of self-regard. It just doesn't work.
And this directly impacts our ability to teach, or even just to improve. That Eastern wisdom quote, There are many people who claim to be teachers of others who should themselves be taught, first of all. That hits home in today's world.
It really does. You see it everywhere. If the goal is this continuous path to improvement, morally, intellectually, skillfully, the sources ask, how can you possibly progress if you're already proud and satisfied with yourself?
You can't.
You can't. Humility isn't just a nice-to-have virtue. It's the non-negotiable entry ticket for learning anything new. If you think your cup is full, you won't accept anything more.
So how do we fight it? This pull towards self-satisfaction, especially when, the world kind of encourages us to boast and project confidence.
The counter virtue the sources point to is holding on to the nursery. Nobody achieves greatness who does not hold on to something of the nursery.
Meaning, stay childlike.
Not childish, but childlike. Maintain that beginner's mind, that raw curiosity, the willingness to ask the dumb question, the openness to being wrong, to being corrected by anyone.
Regardless of status or credentials.
Absolutely. It's recognizing fundamentally that you don't have it all figured out. And ironically, that's the only way to actually start figuring things out. That humility keeps you on the path. It keeps you planting.
Okay, that makes sense. So pride stops us planting. Humility keeps us planting. But before we can even act wisely, plant the right seeds, we need to see clearly, without the ego getting in the way, which takes us to inner clarity.
Right, section 4. Before wise action comes clear seeing. And clear seeing requires inner stillness. It's a radical idea in our noisy world. The sources put it simply, my still mind reflects only peace and holiness.
I like the analogy of the still mind as a clear lake. Just reflects reality, right?
Exactly. But think about the opposite, the turbulent mind. That's like a choppy lake surface. Everything reflected is distorted.
Yeah, you see monsters in the ripples.
You do. You project emotions onto neutral events. You create drama out of ambiguity. You miss the quiet opportunities because you're too busy reacting to the internal noise. You just can't see things as they are.
And the cost is constant reactivity, always putting out fires you started in your own head.
Pretty much. Think of the energy wasted dealing with the fallout from misinterpretations, apologies, fixing messes caused by that internal churn. It's exhausting.
So the practice is presence.
Yeah.
Just noticing.
That seems to be the key discipline. Just
Yeah.
noticing your breath, your surroundings, the actual conversation happening now. It grounds you. It helps cultivate that stillness moment by moment.
And from that stillness comes honesty, the freedom to express thoughts and feelings.
Yes. There is freedom in expressing your thoughts and feelings when your mind isn't constantly reacting or defending.
Defending your pride.
Exactly. When it's not doing that, you can actually access what you really think and feel, not the knee-jerk reaction your ego just served up to win the point or look good.
The authentic stuff.
The authentic stuff. And that is freedom. It's freedom from what the sources call the exhausting work of pretense.
Oh, that resonates. The sheer energy drain of keeping up appearances.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Managing impressions, curating how you look online, remembering which version of the story you told whom. It's a massive waste of the energy you need for, well, planting seeds.
So stillness allows the mask to drop. Pretense ends. You can just be real.
And that honesty conserves so much energy, it frees up resources for what actually matters.
And this clarity, this stillness, it also makes forgiveness possible, right? The sources define it as an act of consciousness, not just a feeling.
That distinction is vital for the long game. If forgiveness was just a feeling that washes over you, you'd be stuck, waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, waiting to magically feel better about something.
Right. But because it's an act of consciousness, it means it's a choice. A deliberate decision you make from that place of clarity and stillness.
So you see the whole picture, the other person's perspective maybe, the complexities.
And crucially, you recognize that holding on to the anger, the resentment, the hurt, that's an active choice you're making today, and it's poisoning you.
So forgiveness is choosing to stop drinking the poison yourself.
Exactly. It's releasing yourself, freeing up your energy to focus on building your crowded table instead of being stuck fighting old battles in your head. It's a practical investment in your future over your past.
Okay. So humility helps us learn and keep planting. Stillness gives us the clarity to see what needs planting and where. Now, execution. How do we actually do it right? Section 5.
Right. We know what to do often. The problem is applying it. Wilson Misner's quote sums it up. Profiting from good advice requires more wisdom than giving advice.
We're swimming in good advice. Libraries full of it. Health, wealth, wisdom.
Yeah.
It's all out there.
But using it consistently, knowing when and how, that's the real wisdom. That's the bottleneck.
So how do the sources suggest we approach application?
They use a great comparison. Good application is like good teaching or good storytelling. It sounds really simple and it's easy to understand.
Keep it simple.
Keep it brutally simple. Focus on fundamental principles, applied consistently. Avoid the fancy, complicated stuff. Complexity is often where pride sneaks back in, where we trip ourselves up.
Okay, simple and consistent. But consistent effort in the wrong direction is wasted.
Right. Worse than wasted sometimes. Which brings us to discernment. The absolute necessity of figuring out where to put your energy. The warning is stark. Don't fertilize weeds.
They'll fertilize weeds. That's powerful.
It's the core of wise action. Effort alone isn't the virtue. Working hard is great, but if you're pouring energy into something toxic, something that's choking out the good stuff...
You're just making the problem bigger.
Exactly. Staying the course is only good if you're actually headed in the right direction. Sometimes the smartest, most productive thing you can do is stop. Stop doing the wrong thing.
Stopping is so hard, though. How do we even know what the weeds are in our own lives? Projects, habits, maybe even relationships.
It takes perspective. You need to get above the immediate situation.
Like climbing the mountain.
Precisely. The sources use that analogy. Climb mountains not so the world can see you, but so you can see the world.
So the climb isn't for ego, for being seen.
No, that's the pride trap again. The whole point of the climb is the view from the top, the perspective.
Okay.
From up there, you see the whole landscape of your life. You can see which paths lead somewhere good, which are fertile, and which are just dead ends sucking up resources.
It gives you the map, so you know what to water and what to pull out.
It's discernment, gained through perspective.
And this perspective, this clear seeing, it links to gratitude. Nietzsche said gratitude is the essence of great art.
Yes. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. Because gratitude requires seeing reality clearly.
Without the distortions of
Entitlement, I deserve more. Comparison, they have it better. Or pride, look how far I've come, I don't need this anymore. Those things blind you.
But when you get that mountaintop perspective,
You see how much you actually have. You see the whole picture, not just the perceived lack. And that naturally leads to gratitude. And gratitude makes the daily planting easier because you're not fighting this internal battle of feeling wronged or deprived all the time.
Okay, so perspective brings discernment and gratitude.
Yeah.
Now we can really play the long game. The advice is never let the score dictate how you play.
That's the discipline. That's real commitment. Are you
Yeah.
winning today? Losing? Getting praise? Getting criticized? It doesn't matter.
The fundamentals don't change.
The fundamentals stay the same. Plant the seeds. Choose humility. Practice presence. Water the good stuff. Pull the weeds. You stick to the process regardless of the temporary score. You don't abandon ship just because it's rough seas today or get complacent because the sun is shining.
Which brings us right back, full circle, to today. The daily routine, section 6, the power of today. If we're playing that long game, what's the absolute most basic, fundamental action?
It sounds almost too simple, maybe even a bit naive at first glance. The directive is think good thoughts.
Okay, yeah, sounds a bit platitude-y, like a greeting card.
It can sound that way, but dig into what it actually requires. It's about taking conscious control of your mental habits, recognizing how much energy gets sucked into grievance, worry loops, catastrophizing.
Right, our default isn't always positive.
Often it's not. So think good thoughts isn't about denying reality or forcing fake positivity. It's about choosing agency. Deliberately tilting your mind towards curiosity, possibility, gratitude, growth.
And actively pulling it away from blame, judgment, resentment, pride.
Exactly. It's like cultivating the soil of your mind. You're choosing what gets to grow there. It's the daily work of managing your inner climate, making sure the ground is fertile for the seeds you want to plant.
The quality of your thinking today literally shapes the quality of your future. You don't have to build the whole table today. Just choose one constructive thought. That's poco for the mind.
Beautifully put. So let's quickly recap those microactions. The daily checklist that actually builds that crowded table over time. These are the things hidden in the routine.
Okay, first, show up today. Be present. Plant one seed, one small act towards a key relationship, your skill, your integrity.
Then, practice one moment of presence. Just one. Anchor in the still mind. See clearly. Choose humility over pride. Just once more, ask for feedback. Admit you don't know.
Next, discernment. Fertilize one thing that deserves it. Pull one weed that's draining you. Still your mind. Even for 60 seconds, find that clarity.
And finally, express one true feeling. Choose honesty over the exhausting pretense. These seem small, right? But add them up, day after day.
That is the architecture. That's the whole structure being built.
The synthesis seems clear, doesn't it? The future, you desire that table, that mastery, that sense of a life well lived. It's not out there somewhere. It's embedded in today's routine, in the sum of these tiny choices.
And the clarity to make the right choices comes from the stillness and humility you cultivate right now.
Exactly. The success, when it arrives, it won't look complicated. It'll look simple, obvious even, like great art or good teaching. Just the result of thousands of small, quiet, consistent, well-aimed actions.
And tying back to pride, since that's the big blocker. Maybe the real perfection isn't being perfect.
No.
It's just consistently choosing humility, choosing to learn to correct course day in, day out.
Which takes us right back to Misner's point one last time. Profiting from advice is harder than giving it. If the goal is to use this knowledge to actually fish and not just collect fish.
Then the challenge is application,
Mm-hmm.
right now. So if you've taken this in, if you believe today matters most, what's one piece of good advice you already know? One seed you could plant, one weed you can pull, one good thought you could choose. Just one thing you could apply, poco a poco, consistently, maybe starting just for the next week. How can you make sure you're using this wisdom, not just storing it?
Use it. Don't just collect it. Plant one seed today for that table you want decades from now.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.